Speak truth and light, healing and strength. Speak truth and light, healing and strength. Speak truth and light. You are the light of my soul, of my soul.
Right now, wherever you are, you may be feeling weary, surrounded by noise, or carrying quiet burdens, falsehood spoken over you, perhaps fear, sickness, or weakness of heart and soul. Into those shadows, our Father speaks. This program was born from that conviction that God is not silent, that through His Word, through the daily readings of the Church, He speaks truth, life, healing, and strength. So much of our world is horizontal. Important, urgent, loud, but the horizontal beam is held up by the vertical. Here we turn upward to hear the heart of the Father and to let His Word steady us for the day. Each morning, Live It Today offers a free daily reflection, arriving as early as 4 a.m., uniting thousands who begin the day listening together. You can receive it at liveittoday.us. This first episode is unique as we enter a week marked by renewed awareness of the vulnerability of human life. From conception to natural death, we're sharing a brief address given to high school and college students preparing for the March for Life. It's a reflection on the moment we're living in, the role each of us plays, and the quiet but consequential power of truth, courage, and love. We're glad you're here. This is Live It Today.
Healing and strength, speak truth and light.
This is one of the most important, I think, movements that there is. And of all the places you could be, I think you guys really stand as heroic. I remember being your age and going on the bus many moons ago. I don't think there's anything more important than people standing up for what really matters and doing so with love. So because it's so consequential, I'm going to embarrass myself. I'm kind of recovering from a cold. But I'm going to try to play a song, and you guys can just laugh at me or whatever. But how many of you guys know classical rock? Any classical rockers here? All right, some of you may know. We're going to play a Name That Tune song. See if you guys can name it. If you get it right, you can have some of the leftover macaroni and cheese or something. Recognize it?
I don't know the name.
But I can't think of the name, but I do recognize it.
I mean, it's one of those little debaucherous teenage songs, I guess, that we had back in the day. Feel Like Making Love is the name of the song. Anyways, I rewrote the lyrics for a girlfriend in high school who was amazing, but one of her incredible attributes is that she made amazing fudge. So this is a little bit silly, a way to embarrass yourself. There's nothing like beginning a talk by just embarrassing yourself. So that's what I'm going to do as an almost 60-year-old dude, so you guys can go home and say, man, this guy came almost 60 years old and played this song. So here we go. All right. A little nervous, but we'll do this anyway. Baby, when I think about you, think about fudge. Darling, if I live without you, I live without fudge. I feel like bacon. I feel like baking fudge. Never mind. All right. Took that far enough. I've got three things as I prayed about this, and if you're called to give a talk, you say, Lord, attune my heart to yours. What is it that you want me to say? If you look back in the history of the prophets, they were not entirely happy with the fact that God asked them to be the ones to speak, because they knew they'd have to stand before their peers, generally religious people, who disagreed with them. And what kept them strong is staying attuned to God's heart, in spite of their fears, their doubts, what kind of persecution they might have around them. So 3 things I felt God was wanting me to say on this day in the next 25 minutes or so. I'll call them power truths of the universe, as my guitar slips here. The first power truth of the universe, if your soul is not filled with gratitude, it's going to be filled with grump. If your soul is not filled with gratitude, it's going to be filled with grump. neuroscientists have recognized that the same part of the brain that processes anxiety, depression, all that yuck that you may feel and I may feel, I don't care if you're almost 60 my age or if you guys are in your teens, just the angst and stuff that we feel in our lives, all of that, the same part of our brain that processes that also processes gratitude. And it can't be both at the same time. So I know that there's pharma and I know there's, feel-good sorts of language and books and, certainly get out, go for a walk and things to kind of get rid of the yuck that we may feel inside. But the most powerful thing is gratitude, giving thanks to God. Try it sometime. When you feel like you're just struggling with something, maybe your boyfriend, girlfriend, somebody said something, a text, whatever's going on, lift your heart in praise to God. I'm going to ask you some of your names and just ask you quickly something you're grateful for. You have a good smile. What's your name?
Lane,
Lane, what comes to mind? What are you grateful for?
my family.
Okay, it's amazing. What's your name?
Caroline,
Caroline, what are you grateful for?
today.
That's awesome, just to be alive. All right, first name?
Austin.
Austin, it's a great name. What are you grateful for, Austin?
My friends.
Okay, really cool. Where do you go to school?
Evergreen.
You have a lot of good friends?
Yeah.
What makes a good friend?
Someone who's loyal to you and stands by you no matter what.
Okay, it's awesome. Shares your values, makes you a better person. Awesome. What's your first name?
Sam.
Sam?
Yes.
Awesome. What are you grateful for, Sam? Good prophet name, by the way, Sam. Family and home. Okay. Just by doing that in this short period of time, you defeated the gates of hell in certain ways. You defeated the gates of hell. If you look back at the very beginning of time, there was the very first angel whose name was the highest angel. Do you remember his name? Who was the top dog, top angel at all of creation, beginning of time? You're not allowed to answer, David. You guys know his name? Yes.
Lucifer.
Lucifer. What does Lucifer mean? Do you know the word etymology? Etymology means the essence of the word, the meaning of the word. The highest of all angels.
Light bearer.
Light bearer. What were Lucifer's tasks in the eternal realm? What was he charged to do? What was his activity?
I don't know this.
Okay, I was like, he led the choir of angels. That was the highest activity. If you look into Revelation, what we'll be doing forever and ever, and it sounds like boring. Oh gosh, we're going to be worshiping God for all eternity. Worship is not simply in voice, it is certainly that, but it's that part of our hearts, that yearning, that hunger, that passion, put in the right direction. We will worship. You are worshiping right now. Everything we say and that we do reveals the nature of our worship. The highest worship is toward God who made us for himself. So Lucifer at the beginning of time, light bearer, he's the most brilliant and beautiful of all angels. His task is to lead the choir of angels. But do you know what happens? He looks along this continuum of time. We can't see it. Picture yourself going to the Sears Tower. If you know what that is, it's a different name in Chicago. I forget the tallest skyscraper. But it's the Macy's Day Parade or whatever. I'm shifting because that's in New York. But let's just say we're in Chicago. You see the parade go by, there's a Bart Simpson float and everything else going by. You can see it from the top, every float that's coming up the street, if you will. That's like the beginning of time. The angels can see the progression of time. And do you know what causes the highest of all angels, unsurpassed in creation, to be jealous beyond measure? Do you know what causes that? It causes him to slip from his identity, to be shaken. He sees that the God of the universe is going to become like you, even if it was just one of you. If he was going to become just one of you, Lucifer sees this, and it causes him to be insanely jealous. Because not only is God going to make you in his image and become like you, and take on flesh, he's going to die for you. That is incredibly powerful to think about. So Satan, he rebels. He says, no, I'm not going to let you go with these little ants, these puny little things. You're going to become one of them. He rebels. He says, I will not serve. He ceases to give gratitude for who he is, and his soul is filled with grump. Grump is the state of hell. We choose it. We choose separation from God when we choose grumps. And the reality is, the superpower that you just exhibited a few moments ago by identifying something that you're grateful for connects you with the dignity of God. It makes you like light. It causes the light of eternity to fill you. Now, everything around you can kind of get a sense of the battle now playing out in the world. Satan wants, he can't take away your dignity. Satan cannot deprive you that God made you in his image, that he took away your form. He can't change that. But what he can do is distract you. How many of you have ever been to a picnic and you're in a great conversation with somebody, but this annoying pesky fly keeps buzzing about you? You guys have that experience? Have you heard of the book, Lord of the Flies? Some of you? Do you realize that has deep theological meaning to it if you study it? Beelzebub literally means Lord of the Flies. Satan has no power over you or me, but he can distract us. So you have this intimacy going on with somebody you love, say God, and Satan buzzes about, hey, a little bit of cell phone here, or Instagram, or who said that in TikTok, or I can't believe my mom said that, or dad said that, or the world's going on with this, or pornography, whatever, maybe distraction to keep you from that deepest intimacy that we yearn for. I don't care if you're almost 60 or 16, 17, 18, whatever you guys are, our deepest yearning, one thing I know about all of you, two things in fact, never having met any of you, is that our deepest yearning is to be loved and to love. If we talked for a long period of time, if I was on the bus with you, if we were chilling, you're telling me your life and you like this sport or this class you like or that teacher you don't, if we drill down, your deepest yearning, it's going to be, I really wish somebody loved me for who I am, a friend who cares about me, knows me, that I don't question whether or not they're going to be with me. To be loved and that I can return that love to them. That resonance with God, that design that God gave us, Satan wants you to forget about it. He wants you to look for that deep yearning that you have to other things to fill it. And let me ask you the question, you don't need to answer. Does anything else satisfy it? Does the next image you happen to see in your cell phone satisfy it? Does the next correspondence or even great award or soccer goal in the field or anything, does it really satisfy it long? No. So I'm going to play another song here, just as kind of an act of worship, as bad as it may be. There was a guy named Rich Mullins. You guys remember that name? He wrote the song, Oh God, You Are My God, I Will Ever Praise You. He was going to become Catholic, and he had was killed in a car accident a week before he was to become Catholic, one of the most popular Christian musicians. And he had this thing in concert. I was blessed to know him for a season. And he'd say this to a crowd before he'd invite them to sing. He'd say, if God gave you a bad voice, torture him with it. So I'm going to invite you, wherever you're at. Do any of you guys listen to Christian music at all, even once in a while? K-Love, Proclaim FM. Have any of you guys heard this song, Counting My Blessings? You have? Okay. Really cool song. It's reached over 180 million people. That's pretty awesome. If you look at videos, I guess there's been over 6 billion videos by this kid who wrote this song, played this song. Anyways, we're just going to sing the refrain right now. I'm going to invite you to sing it with me. God, I'm still counting my blessings with all that you've done in my life. The more that I look in the details, the more of your goodness I'll find. Father, on this side of heaven, I know that I'll run out of time, but I will keep counting my blessings, knowing I can't count that high. That may not be your preferred worship song, but to have our souls filled with worship all the time, whether it's a conscious song or just the currency, you want to talk about strength in sports, and I love sports, strength in drama, if you're into musicals or whatever, strength in friendships. It's cultivating a resonance of our soul of worship. Again, Satan wants to distract you from that. And the theme, so point number 1, is if our soul isn't filled with gratitude, it's going to be filled with grump. It's your soul always be filled with gratitude all the time. It's a superpower strength. Shifting, Lucifer, angel of light, matters seen. Let's shift to movies. In my day, my company produced marketing for Disney's Narnia, Superman Returns. You may have heard of some of these movies, and others. We were blessed to design that marketing. I sat in the corporate room of Walt Disney and other places to design this marketing to reach people. So I'm aware of the degree to which they get it. They're spending billions of dollars to win our souls and distract our affections from God to Nike, to the movie, to the products that we want to buy, cosmetics. They know what will distract women because they can tell women you're ugly, you need this product, you need this clothes, cause you to be despaired so they can offer you, come in and save you by offering. Same thing with guys. Guys, you need to be this way, macho, whatever. So, some questions. Think of your favorite movie or a favorite movie. I'm going to call on you, so whatever comes to mind, I'm going to ask you a favorite movie. What's your name?
Dominic.
Dominic, what's a favorite movie?
A Hidden Life.
A Hidden Life. Oh, that's really good. That's very sophisticated. What's your name?
Nate.
Nate, what's a favorite movie?
Pirates of the Caribbean.
Good one. Okay. Favorite movie? What's your first name? Joseph. Awesome names. Your parents know how to name people. Think of your favorite movie, and I want to demonstrate that the next point is it's not just who you are, but it's whose you are. If you're like me, there's times in your life where you're like, God, where are you? I need to know you. Like, it's just not connecting with me, right? Like, I go to Mass and the priest says this, and I should feel you or connect with you. Where are you, God? Have you ever felt that any time in your life? You guys, keep it real. Like, is this thing that we talk about faith, is it real? Because often we feel alone. Last 4 years, the numbers of depression, alienation, especially among your generation, have been off the charts. Here's a demonstration of God's presence to you in love. So I just asked you to think of a favorite movie. Whatever your movie is, there are 4 characteristics that describe every drama ever told, every life ever lived, every movie. First of all, you get the main character who begins somewhere. That's not a big surprise. The protagonist, they start somewhere. Part B, in every movie, every story, they go through a crucible. Some struggle, some challenge, some crisis. Think of your movie. They come through that crucible on the other side more fully aware of who they are. They're more attuned, they're more awakened, they're more aware, having come through the fire. And number 4, it informs their mission. Now, here's the cool thing. Billions of dollars are spent every year by people like us who flip on the TV, watch Netflix, Prime, Disney, Paramount, whatever it is, get on our phones to partake of dramas, and they all have these 4 main movements. Maybe there's something deeper to every movie that is drawing us to watch them in the seats that reveals something about our own souls that we share, whether or not you're atheist, agnostic, pagan, Jewish, Muslim, Kremlin, Hobbit, whatever you may be, whatever the comic book characters are there, whatever you are, whatever universe you're in, these 4 movements follow this again. The character begins somewhere. Let's give them the right names. Life. B, they go through the crucible. Death. They come out on the other side knowing their nature. Resurrection. Which informs their mission. Pentecost. Life, death, resurrection, Pentecost. What does that sound like? Jesus Christ. What he came to do, and our nature in him, maybe we're not just spectating these things on the screen, maybe we're drawn to them because there's something in us that is participating in that reality. I'm going to say that is in fact the case. That you are living an ultimate drama. Each of you are starring characters with millions of angels watching you go through these motions of wherever you're at in your life. You're experiencing a crucible. I could ask any of you right now, and that's an important question. What are you struggling with? What's the fire? What's forging you? What's pressing in on you? What pressures? What are people saying or doing? What are you angry about right now? What are you resentful about right now? That's the cauldron. God is presiding over this nature, by the way. He made you in his image. He's demonstrating that you are grafted in Jesus, who what? Life, death, resurrection, Pentecost. You stick with that in his grace. His hand is forging you for what? Intimacy. All of this life is about him forging us so that the totality of our hearts turn to him again in worship. Through that crucible, you're going to come out on the other side and recognize your nature, life, which is going to inform your mission. So that's the second question. It's whose you are. Your very life and what you're dealing with, that pattern reveals how close you are to the life of Christ that he revealed, the essence of our faith. Okay, so a third thing, then coming in for a landing. I had an epiphany year when I was 10 years old, an epiphany. Do you guys know what the word epiphany means? We experienced the epiphany a couple Sundays ago. Do you remember what happened at the epiphany? Anybody? David, you can answer it. Come on, David. No, the epiphany was the kings, right? Basically, it means revelation. It's when something happens in this world, when that veil between heaven and earth is breached and we experience something of God. When I was 10, 3 big movies that made a huge difference in my life. First was a series called Roots. Does that ring a bell for any of you? So it's basically chronicling the slave trade, slave industry in this country through the drama of Kunta Kinte and coming over from Africa and being in the United States and that horrific era in American history, which I know you've studied. Now, I'm only 10. This is 1977. I'm way older than you guys. But the second movie, I'll give you the movies, then describe. Second movie was called, or series was called Holocaust. It chronicled Nazi Germany and what happened in Nazi Germany. So in those two movies, I'm age 10, and I was blessed by God's grace to think about this. In both of those cultures, America, 1800s, 1700s, 1800s, and in Nazi Germany, there were predominantly Christian communities. Now, pardon my French, but how the hell do those who profess to know Jesus and love other people allow those to be enslaved who are made in the likeness and image of God? And I watched and I remember thinking age 10, like where are the adults? Because we look to adults, right, to kind of be the ones who make judicious decisions. And then Nazi Germany, the same thing. To watch those people in the trains and their sullen eyes and emaciated and taken away, and Kristallnacht, where they take them out of their homes and bring them in this apartment, and they burn all the Jewish places in Nazi Germany. Just as a 10-year-old, I just was shocked. And I said to myself this, do you guys know the name Dietrich Bonhoeffer? In Nazi Germany, Dietrich Bonhoeffer was one of the few who was willing to stand as a Christian. And he said, silence in the face of evil is itself evil. Think about that. Silence, standing on the sidelines, regardless of what anybody else is doing. If we are just silent in the face of evil, is itself evil. God will not hold us guiltless. God will not hold you and me guiltless by not responding to evil. Not to speak is to speak. Not to act is to act. That's what Dietrich Bonhoeffer said. I would say at age 10, I cultivated a Dietrich Bonhoeffer heart set, mindset. Something happened age 10 after this series as I had that thought, would I be one who stood on the sidelines, or would I have been in the game and tried to communicate and defend the slaves, if you will, to freedom, or the Jews? Would I have stood up? I didn't know, age 10. And I was struck, traumatized by whether or not I would because of the pressures. A few days later, I woke up and I saw this postcard on our kitchen table. My parents had gone to this event, pro-life event. It was a picture of an unborn child mutilated, about abortion. I knew about this. My parents talked about it, but to see it, basically it said to me, this is your movement. This is your slavery. This is your Nazi Germany. This is the reality happening in our neighborhoods, in our communities, with women who are facing horrific circumstances and being told, distracted by the enemy, that they are just need to navigate, need to get rid of this human life, God created in God's image. So that struck me very deeply, and I would say affected the rest of my life in a good way, because it made me say, like you are saying, this has to be more than just a moment once a year. This has to do with the way I love my peers. This has to do with the way I advocate when people struggle with sexual attraction and temptation in those moments where it matters most, which every human being's going to by God's design. Helping friends stand strong, to live the truth. This is where that battle is. I faced it when I was your age, and it hasn't ended. To this day, this is the most consequential battle that the enemy doesn't want the world to see. You're giving a voice, you're giving a face by willing to stand for life. And I have to conclude this with a final story. Back in our community in Erie, Pennsylvania, there was a story, true story, of a man and his wife. They had 12 kids. And he didn't make more than $25,000 a year. Big family, age 17 down to age 3. And they, in 1976, said, we're going to go to March for Life. By the way, it was 50 years ago this week that this story began. So Michael and Joanne Wagner got on a bus in Erie, PA, with all the other buses. She was 6 months pregnant with baby number 13. So she's pregnant, but it mattered enough for them to stand for life. The kids went to different friends' homes or whatever. Well, they got on the bus, driving through Pittsburgh. Joanne had her head on her husband's shoulders. She was only 39 years old. On the bus, midnight, she died. Michael, the husband, just knew, said, help, help, could tell that she had slumped over bus stops. There were really no medics in the thing. They said they could feel the baby kicking in her womb. She had passed, his wife. They didn't know how to save the baby. That night, Michael had to return to his home without the love of his life, his wife, and having lost his 13th child, to try to somehow raise these 12 kids without making a dime over $25,000 a year. 50 years ago, this is that anniversary, this very week. Now, by Michael's faithfulness, what he taught many of us, in raising his kids as best as he could, all of whom are faithful Catholics, by the way. They all go to church. Of 12 kids is pretty big. For a family of 12 to continue to go to Mass, usually you have some kids that stray. One simple phrase, the third power truth of the universe, that Michael taught us is that what God calls you to, holiness, he calls you to be courageous, he calls you to know his love, to live his intimacy, to worship. All the things God calls you to, he will provide for. It's that simple. What God calls you to, and you may not believe you're able to do it, Michael had no idea, he will provide for. Now, what's the connection as I conclude here? The connection is that this kid at the very beginning of the song I played, poorly, Counting My Blessings, is my son, Seph Schlueter. Maybe you knew that, maybe you didn't. He is a #1 Christian music artist. His song was #1 in K-Love last year. Running Back to You is another song he has. He's reached over 180 million people. I can't tell you the thousands and thousands of souls from letters and things that he's gotten to people whose lives have been touched by inviting them to count their blessings, to have gratitude to God, the power of giving gratitude to God. That would not have happened if Michael had not returned to be faithful to his children. Because number of 11 of 12 is my wife. His 11th child, age 5, Stephanie, is my wife. By his being faithful in horrific circumstances of his wife dying and losing baby 13 and loving his family as best as he could, providing. Years later, I met this beautiful woman, Stephanie, here in this city, Erie, I should say. No, it's Toledo. God blessed us with 6 amazing children. And we tried to love them with all we can and poured ourselves into them. And this Catholic faith that you have, tried to surround ourselves with good people, tried to worship as much as we could, Eucharistic adoration, every day, seeking to anchor ourselves because it's a struggle. I could say a lot more, but I'll just say this as I land. If your soul's not filled with gratitude, it'll be filled with grump. It's not just who you are, it's whose you are. Declare it. You are a son and daughter of God in Jesus Christ. Don't let the enemy distract you with any other lie. Be mindful of your affections, monitor them. What are you turning them toward? What are you worshiping? Worship God. And finally, he is calling you. You're here for a reason. Whatever struggles you have with parents or peers, God sees that. It's part of his drama. Close in prayer. In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Lord, I thank you that you give us the incredible formal prayer of the church, the Eucharist, the Mass, where all the grace flows from. I thank you for your mother, who was a mother to my wife when her mom died at age 5. Mary, you are so present to us. You mother us. Open our hearts and minds to seek you as a mother. Make us mindful of the power of the rosary, which you have said in so many apparitions crushes the head of the serpent. Whether it's the middle of the night, we can't sleep, or we're anxious or dealing with things, as I do even at my age, God, help us to turn to our Blessed Mother and to pray the rosary and to be mindful of the power of the rosary. And Lord, just as I'm speaking now with these amazing younger brothers and sisters, help them to recognize you want more than just ritual or religion, which are so important, yes. But at the heart of it all, you give us relationship. In this Catholic faith, which can seem like a lot of gymnastics, jumping through hoops, help them to be mindful in this moment that at the beginning of time and through all of history and in our church, you want us to have a relationship with you. You created us for an intimacy with you. to know we are loved, and to be instruments of your love to one another. So I pray your blessing be upon each one of them. Anoint their minds, their hearts, bodies, souls, memories, imaginations, wills, understanding. Any ways that the enemy is speaking and lying, telling them they're ugly, where they're overcome with rejection, these lies of the enemy, that they're unworthy, that they're stuck in whatever addictions they may have, whether it's chemicals or porn or whatever. All those lies, God, in your name right now in this context of prayer, the power of your blood and water pouring forth, we renounce those lies of the enemy. Reveal him, and we just banish him, God, from these tabernacles that you made for your indwelling Spirit. Thank you for their yes, God. Magnify it. May they know that you are going to work miracles by their yes now, that there's a new moment. Yesterday doesn't exist. 5 minutes ago doesn't exist. That this is a new moment, a door open of grace. Regardless of struggles they have in their homes or friends, you are in it. You're carving their drama. You're guiding them with your hand. They're not alone. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women. Blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen.
Each morning, Live It Today offers a free daily reflection, arriving as early as 4 a.m., uniting thousands who begin the day listening together. You can receive it at liveittoday.us. We're glad you're here. This is Live It Today.